Welcome to Future Epoch, where we learn more about our world. There is a line being drawn across Africa. It stretches 8,000 kilometers from the Atlantic coast of Senegal in the west to the Red Sea shores of Djibouti in the east. It crosses 11 countries and 4 time zones. It passes through some of the hottest, driest, most vulnerable land on the planet. This line is not a border. It is not a fence. It is, or at least it was meant to be, a wall of trees. The Great Green Wall is one of the most ambitious environmental projects in human history. Its goal is to restore 100 million hectares of degraded land by 2030, to hold back the encroaching desert, to feed millions, and to give a future to a region where the future is running out. Whether it will succeed is the question that matters most. The Sahel is the semi-arid belt that runs just south of the Sahara Desert. In Arabic, the word Sahel means shore, as if this thin strip of land were the coastline of a great ocean of sand. For the people who live here, that metaphor is becoming literal. Across more than a dozen countries, the land is deteriorating. Rainfall is becoming less reliable. Soils are depleted. Vegetation that once anchored the earth against erosion has been stripped away by overgrazing, illegal logging, and decades of unsustainable farming. Without plant cover, the soil bakes and fractures. Wind carries it away. The desert advances. The consequences are not abstract. Approximately 300 million people live in the Sahel. Many of them depend on subsistence agriculture and livestock herding. When the land fails, they have almost nothing to fall back on. The region already contains some of the world's lowest scores on the Human Development Index, and the environmental crisis deepens every other crisis it touches, from hunger and displacement to political instability and conflict. This is the context in which the Great Green Wall was conceived. The idea of planting a green barrier across Africa's dryland regions is not new. Versions of the concept circulated among African scientists and policymakers for decades. But it was the African Union, championed in large part by Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo in the early 2000s, that transformed the vision into official policy. In 2007, the African Union formally endorsed the Great Green Wall Initiative, and the Pan-African Agency of the Great Green Wall was established in Dakar, Senegal, to coordinate efforts across member states. The original concept was almost literal in its ambition: plant a continuous belt of trees 15 kilometers wide across the entire width of the continent. Scientists and ecologists quickly pointed out that a rigid monoculture tree belt was neither ecologically sound nor practically achievable. The initiative evolved. What emerged in place of the original plan was a broader vision, a mosaic of restored land, sustainable farms, grasslands, and woodlands that would collectively fulfill the same function as the imagined wall. Countries were given flexibility to pursue restoration strategies that suited their local conditions, from reforestation to farmer-managed natural regeneration, where existing tree stumps are encouraged to regrow rather than being cleared. By the early 2010s, individual countries were beginning to demonstrate what was possible. In Niger, a technique called farmer-managed natural regeneration had already been quietly transforming hundreds of thousands of hectares. Farmers learned to protect and manage naturally occurring trees rather than treating them as competition for crops. The result was a dramatic recovery of vegetation across an estimated 5 million hectares, more trees in the ground than any formal planting program had achieved. In Senegal, formal restoration projects began to show measurable progress along the country's stretch of the corridor. Progress, however, has been uneven, and the gap between the vision and the reality has been difficult to close. By the time of the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow in 2021, assessments suggested that only a fraction of the original target had been achieved. One widely cited figure placed progress at roughly 4% of the stated goal. Other assessments, accounting for farmer-managed regeneration and land improvements that official surveys sometimes miss, produced more optimistic numbers, but even the most generous estimates left the 2030 target looking remote. Funding is one of the most persistent obstacles. The Great Green Wall has never been short of pledges. At the One Planet Summit in January 2021, international donors including the European Union, the World Bank, and the United States pledged a combined $14.3 billion to accelerate the initiative over the following decade. But pledges and disbursements are not the same thing. Getting money from international commitments into the hands of farmers, local governments, and restoration teams on the ground involves layers of bureaucracy, competing priorities, and institutional delays. Much of the funding that was announced has moved slowly. There are structural problems too. Coordination across 20 or more sovereign nations with different political systems, different languages, and different local conditions is inherently complicated. Monitoring and verification of what has actually been restored, as opposed to what has been planted and then died, remains a significant challenge. Trees planted in degraded dryland soils without sufficient follow-up care have poor survival rates. Some restoration programs have reported impressive numbers of seedlings planted, while being less forthcoming about how many survived the first dry season. Climate change itself is working against the project's timeline. The Sahel is warming faster than the global average. Rainfall variability is increasing. The very conditions that make restoration urgent are also making it harder to achieve and harder to sustain. The stakes are high in both directions. If the Great Green Wall succeeds, or even partially succeeds, the benefits extend far beyond ecology. Restored land means better harvests, more reliable grazing, and reduced soil erosion. It means carbon sequestered in vegetation and soil, contributing meaningfully to global climate commitments. It means communities with enough food and income to remain where they are, rather than joining the growing flows of climate migration moving toward North Africa and Europe. The UNCCD has estimated that a fully realized Great Green Wall could sequester up to 250 million tons of carbon by 2030 and create around 10 million green jobs across the region. The human dimension is inseparable from the ecological one. Across the Sahel, food insecurity, displacement, and conflict are intertwined with environmental degradation. The Lake Chad Basin, which sits within the corridor, has lost more than 90% of its surface area since the 1960s. The shrinking of the lake has contributed to competition over resources and has been cited as a factor in the rise of militant groups in the region. Restoring land is not a guaranteed path to stability, but degraded land almost certainly points in the opposite direction. The Great Green Wall teaches a lesson that is becoming more important with every decade of climate change. The relationship between ecological health and human security is not a metaphor. It is a mechanism. When land degrades, people suffer in immediate and measurable ways. When land recovers, people's options expand. The most successful examples from within the Great Green Wall corridor, Niger's farmer-managed regeneration, Senegal's community-led reforestation, Ethiopia's mass mobilization of tree planting, all share a common feature. They work because local people are involved, not as recipients of outside intervention, but as the primary agents of change. Restoration that bypasses communities tends not to last. Restoration that is built around them can be self-sustaining. The gap between pledge and delivery is also a recurring lesson in global environmental governance. The history of international environmental commitments is well populated with ambitious targets and insufficient follow-through. The Great Green Wall has attracted genuine political will and genuine funding, but translating those into durable restoration requires not just money, but sustained institutional attention over decades. The Great Green Wall will not be completed by 2030. Almost everyone who follows the initiative closely acknowledges this. But the conversation has shifted. The question is no longer whether the idea is viable, but how to accelerate the progress that is already demonstrably real. Hundreds of thousands of hectares across Senegal, Ethiopia, Sudan, Niger, and other countries have already been transformed. Millions of trees are growing in soil that was bare a decade ago. Farmers who applied new techniques are harvesting more than their parents did. These are not minor footnotes. They are proof that restoration at scale is possible. What the Sahel represents is a challenge that the world will face in many forms over the coming decades. how to maintain habitable, productive land in a warming climate, and how to ensure that the communities most exposed to environmental collapse have the resources and the agency to respond. The Great Green Wall is Africa's attempt to answer that question with action rather than despair. Whether it becomes a model for the world or a cautionary tale about the distance between ambition and delivery depends on choices being made right now, in finance ministries, in village fields, and in the institutions that sit between them. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel.